Hey, what's up? It's Wick for WickieMedia, and today we're going to take a look at what a hybrid mixing setup is and why you could choose to work on that. A hybrid mixing setup uses both analog and digital equipment and thus gets the best of both worlds. So let's take a look at some workflows. What would be a typical setup and workflow in a hybrid type of studio? For many reasons, tracking is the simplest in a digital environment, so simply said, recording in the box and mixing with the help of outboard gear. There's several setups that I can imagine that use good things from both the analog as well as the digital world. So let's look at some that I think are good setups, especially for home studios and smaller project studios. Setup 1 is mixing in the box using outboard gear. In this setup, the computer is the heart of the process. Besides that, we have an audio interface with a number of in and outputs. These in and outputs can be used to have analog gear as an insert on our DAW channel. This allows us to use some external processors in a digital mixing setup. Many DAWs allow you to set up outputs and inputs of your interface to be used as inserts in your project. It could also be very helpful to look for a MIDI controller with faders, as many people prefer faders and knobs over mouse clicks when mixing music. Another setup could be mixing with a mixer using a DAW. In this setup, the computer is still the heart of the process, as it will play the multitracks from the DAW, but mixing is done with an analog board. This means that the outputs of our interface are all connected to the input of a mixing desk. This allows us to have our computer more on the side rather than in the center of our setup. We can then still use outboard gear by using the actual insert sends and returns on the mixing desk. In this routing setup, we focus more on the traditional and less visual way of mixing. You could still choose to do certain processing and use plugins from within the DAW, so this way you really get the best of both worlds and you can be very flexible. As we are routing our multitrack through the mixing console during mixing, we will have to record the output of its mix bus back into the DAW as a mix. We can also record stamps in case we want to still be able to process groups of tracks like drums, instruments and vocals on separated stereo tracks. Things to take note of. So when working with analog gear, there are literally things to take note of. All the settings that you dial into your outboard gear need to be noted down in order to recreate the same mix when you might have to open the session once again. This means that you will need to note which insert is used on which channel and which devices are used on the inserts. Also note the actual settings and chosen presets of these devices as well. You could also actually do this in the DAW itself, as most DAWs allow you to take notes, and well, this is one of the reasons why that's helpful. So even if you want the possibilities of working in a digital environment like tracking, editing, automation and full recall, it can still be possible to incorporate analog outboard gear in your workflow. And you're still going to be able to upgrade to better gear over time. So I hope you guys have learned something today. Check out the other video that I'm going to do in addition to this tutorial, where I'm going to explain how to set up your DAW like Pro Tools, Cubase and Logic to work with external processors so you can work with outboard gear from your DAW as well. So if you want, you can check me out on Facebook, Twitter and on the website wikiemedia.net and stay up to date with some of these very exciting things that are coming up in the very near future. So once again, this was Wick for WickieMedia. I thank you guys for watching and I hope to see you soon. Peace!